It's short, sweet, and a little out of the ordinary, at least by President Rodrigo Duterte standards. Duterte delivers his third State of the Nation address in less than an hour, without going off script, without cuss words, but definitely with drama, courtesy of his allies in the House of Representatives.
It's a good speech. He has a prepared speech, so that's good. He was able to define all his projects that he's going to do. It's written.
He stuck to the major points, and then he asked the people to understand why he's doing these things better, because more informative, more direct to the point, and he did not waste time talking about other things which may not be totally relevant.
Duterte's SONA is delayed for over an hour. The House votes to install former President and now Pampanga Representative Gloria Arroyo as a new Speaker, a move backed by Duterte's daughter, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte. Foreign dignitaries and cabinet members saw a turf war, Philippine-style, unfold before their eyes, without a valid session, a working microphone, and the House's mace or symbol. It was a scene straight out of a series. Arroyo up the rostrum, while Pantaleon Alvarez welcomed Duterte as Speaker. Duterte then meets with the two separately, leaving people wondering who the real Speaker is. During the SONA, Alvarez takes the Speaker's seat. There was one casualty, Duterte's signing of the landmark Bangsamoro Organic Law, which was supposedly the highlight of his speech. For his second SONA, Duterte does a throwback in his opening salvo. He vows to make his bloody drug war as relentless as when it started. He then slams human rights groups for criticizing his bloody campaign, an old refrain these past 2 years.
Let me begin by putting it bluntly. The war against illegal drugs is far from over. But before the war resulted in the seizure of illegal drugs worth millions of pesos, today they run billions in peso value. I can only shudder at the harm that those drugs could have caused had they reached the streets of every province, city, municipality, barangay, and community throughout the country. If you think that I can be dissuaded from continuing this fight because of our demonstrations, your protests, which I find the way misdirected, then you got it all wrong.
Amid rising prices, Duterte stands by his economic managers and the tax reform or train law. He urges Congress to pass the second package of the train law, cutting corporate income tax and incentives by year-end.
Some have incorrectly blamed our effort towards a fairer tax system for all the price increases in the past months, and some irresponsibly suggesting to stop train implementation. We cannot and should not. We need this for sustainable growth that leaves no Filipino left behind.
But lawmakers are not satisfied. Duterte fails to detail his plans against rising inflation.
We have not heard about that from the President. As a matter of fact, he said that he's continued for the full implementation of the train law, which has, to a great extent, resulted to the inflation rate of 6.1% for basic goods and non-alcoholic beverage items.
Duterte also calls on the House and the Senate to pass measures, the Coconut Levy Trust Fund, Universal Healthcare, and National Land Use Law. He pitches Chacha and federalism to a Congress divided on how to go about it. He remains silent on the controversial issue of Constituent Assembly. As for foreign policy, he vows to fight for the Philippines' rights in the West Philippine Sea, but says he will maintain open communication lines with China, a move welcomed by China's envoy.
It's first and foremost objective, and secondly friendly and future-oriented. And the China and the Philippines will work together to ensure our bilateral relationships will continue to move towards the betterment. And in the meantime, it is the determination of the Chinese side to bring more tangible benefits to the Filipino people.
Ironic as it may seem, the president who has slammed the U.S. quotes its former President Abraham Lincoln to end his speech.
In ending, may I quote, I have always quoted, but in my previous talks, one American that I salute, the great Abraham Lincoln. And I came across this statement which has been with me since I was a fiscal in the 70s. And he said, if I were to try to read, much less answer all attacks made on me, this shop, the presidency, might as well be closed for any other business. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep doing so until the end. If the end brings me out all right, what has been said against me won't amount to anything. But if the end brings me out wrong, 10 angels of God swearing that as I was right would make no difference.
In his third SONA, Duterte changes his style, his demeanor, his treatment. But the same issues take the prime spot in his speech: illegal drugs, corruption, and charter change. The speech may be a welcome surprise to some, but to critics, it isn't enough. With a lack of data and details, the opposition sees it as nothing but an admission of non-achievement. Empty, hollow, same. Camila Lemia, Rappler, Batasan.